And like the radio guys made fun of me. And my guy's like, wait, no, you're misunderstanding me. They're like, hey, sounds like someone's getting heated. And they like played like a air horn or something.
David, I come to you today.
The
king of gamers.
The king, El Rey.
I have triumphed over video games this week.
What have you done?
I have beaten not one, but 2 whole video games, David.
My God. I think that does qualify you as the king. You're
king
right.
of gamers.
Yes.
It's rare that this happens. I feel like this happens to me sometimes where I'll not beat any games for a long time and then just out of nowhere decide to finish a bunch of them.
You're just ticking off the checklist, right?
Yep. So I've crowned myself the king of gamers this week, which I thought you might be interested to know.
All right, what games?
I will tell you after I say the name of this podcast that we're making.
Oh, okay.
Because last week I didn't, and I was like, oh God, like nobody's going to know what this is. If this is our first episode, that's going to stink. That's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, 26 podcast I opened. I have no idea what it is.
We got 26 new listeners and everything, just thinking that you're slacking.
They're like, what the fuck is this? Nobody said the title. It's Video Game Podtimism, the Optimists video game variety show, where 2 best friends remember to say the title of their podcast. And my name is, in fact, Chase, the king of gamers.
And I'm David. I'm merely the pauper of gamers this week. I'm about a lowly pauper.
I'm the proletariat of the gamers this week.
We're going to rise up, baby. We're going to get you.
That's true. I will tell you what games I have beaten. It is both Ghost of Tsushima and Panzer Paladin. I've beat both of them.
Well done. Okay.
Panzer Paladin really had me in a bind for a little while there.
Why?
The last couple of levels were pretty brutal and difficult. And then I figured out a very important mechanic that I did not know up until that point.
What'd you learn?
So in the game, you like collect weapons, like you walk over weapons and it'll like just pick them up. And you can only hold 4 at a time. And if you pick up extra ones, they go into your storage, which is like in your, it's off screen, right? Like you don't have access to them in the level. I thought you can only equip these weapons if you started or stopped a level.
Sure.
That is not the case. You just go into the fucking menu and click weapon and it will allow you to select any of them. So I had like this dragon's horde of weapons just sitting, waiting for me to use them all. And the game was a lot easier after that.
There you go. I love it. I kind of love it when that happens, where you're just like, oh, so that's how you do this game.
That's how the game works.
That's how I upgrade my character, and you just like start blowing through people.
Yep.
I think I've had that experience like probably a good 4 or 5 times now with The Witcher, just individually as a game. But like,
yeah.
Oh, that's how that mechanic works. And it's just like, okay, that works really well now.
It ends up making quite a bit more sense.
Sure does.
So yeah, I got through that one, and then also over the weekend got through Ghost of Tsushima.
How's that?
I think the latter half, not half, but like the last hour or 2 of the game was definitely the most effective of it, which is good for me. Like
effective or affective?
The last hour or 2 was definitely the best part of the game for me.
Let me just sidestep your question.
I'm gonna go ahead and go around that question. My knowledge of grammar and English is not sufficient for this skill check.
Sorry. I was just wondering if you meant like effective as a game or like affective, like emotionally or something like that.
I am just now learning the distinction between these 2 things.
The more you learn, the more you know.
The more you learn.
This is why I have a master's degree, Chase.
I'm a lowly bachelor.
I am a master.
You're a master. This is why they pay you the dollars for the English.
Yeah.
The last couple hours were pretty good in Ghost of Tsushima. It's definitely, the end of it was definitely what I thought the whole game was going to be.
Sure.
And so I was kind of happy to finally have some like, okay, this is good. We're doing like real ass samurai stuff. Like it's not just running from one fight to the next. There's like some story beats happening here. Not to say the other parts of the game were like bad. They just weren't exactly what I was expecting it to be.
Sure. I was about to say, is this a good thing or a bad thing that you finally got to what you wanted at the very end of the game?
I mean, it's like a personally good thing. Like I wanted this part of the game. I kept wondering when I was playing through it, like when are all the story parts going to like come together? And I do wish that they had come together in a more meaningful way a lot earlier so that they could continue to do cool story stuff. But I just think that's probably not exactly what they were doing with the game. Like it's definitely a lot of like mechanics and trying to have fun with the game rather than like we're trying to tell a super dramatic story. I think playing this right after The Last of Us is kind of a tough contrast.
Sure.
Because that's exactly what that game was doing, was telling a story pretty much the whole way through.
Yeah,
I guess it suffered in my own mind for that, but it's certainly still a pretty good game, and I enjoyed it for the most part.
Good. All right. Well, those are the two you beat. Did you play anything else?
I played 2 other games this week. The other ones I played were, I'm sure you've heard of the internet's favorite new game, Fall Guys. Played that.
Well, what is that? It's everywhere. It's everywhere. I don't know what it is.
It's kind of a battle royale, a little bit.
That's hot right now. That's
hot. That's still hot right now. It is not a shooter. It's sort of a platformer, I guess. Let me describe to you a given level in this.
Okay.
A normal first level is you plunk down as your little dude among with like, I think 60 other people, or I guess 59 other people.
Yeah.
And you have to race to the end of like an obstacle course. And maneuvering and jumping is not the easiest thing. You fall over pretty easily. There's a bunch of people, so you're getting jumped on and shit like that. And only a certain number of people who get to the finish line qualify. It's like a race, right? So like the first 40 there will qualify for the next round.
Okay.
The obstacle courses are kind of laid out like Wipeout or MXC, if you remember that show.
Sure, yeah. It's
a lot of stuff like swinging, and it's going to hit you in the head, and you have to jump over shit. Like it's not, it's a little slapstick, right? Like the point of it is to be kind of funny, I think. It's pretty fun. Like I get why the internet's really obsessed with it right now. It's like a kind of a breath of fresh air in an otherwise pretty like not serious genre, but like people take battle royales very seriously. And this one, like, there's a lot of fuckery that happens. Like, a lot of it kind of plays out like a Mario Party minigame, where it's just like, oh, yeah, I kind of got fucked with the luck of the draw there. Like, there's some skill in it for sure, but, like, 40 people jump on your back and get ahead of you or something like that.
So is everybody playing the same obstacle course all at the same time?
Yep.
Okay. And it's difficult to control, so is it kind of like QWOP level of difficult to control?
Certainly not that level of difficulty. And, like, it's not difficult in the sense of, like, moving around. You're always doing what you're like, telling your controller to do. It's just you're a little bean running around, so like it's just bean. Not it feels like you're running a bean around, like he's kind of stocky and like it's hard when he jumps. He doesn't jump that high or slow and shit like that, so.
Very earthbound but also very poor balance.
Yes, definitely. So it's pretty fun. I think they will have to roll out more obstacle courses pretty quick for people to stay with this game. Like if they had like hundreds of these things, I think this could be like just an endlessly replayable game. But right now they have like 10 or something like that.
Gotcha.
And so it's enjoyable for right now, but I do hope they can kind of keep up with the demand because so many people are playing this game right now.
Yeah, it's like 2 million downloads on Steam or something. I saw people were
it's
saying.
Also free on PlayStation Plus if you have that. So it's worth it.
Oh, is it?
It is. If the servers will allow you to play it.
All you have to do is say free on PS Plus, and I'm there, baby.
It's tough not to.
I'm gonna play this.
You should get up in there. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
I'll do it.
And then the other game that I am playing that I am just head over heels for right now.
Okay, yeah.
2017's Prey.
That's Arcane Studios.
It is Arcane Studios.
Okay. Now, this is a reboot of Prey?
It is a reboot, and they really should have named it something different.
Is it similar to the original Prey at all?
Not at all. Not at all. Like, the first Prey, if I remember correctly, I don't think I played it since it came out, but, like, it was a shooter, by and large. Like, you were just gunning down aliens and shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a first-person shooter.
It's so different than that. Like, it is a first-person game, and there are guns, but it's in a genre that I am like just now discovering is a codified thing.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't even aware that this genre existed, and it definitely has for quite some time. But for whatever reason, my naive brain did not know about it.
What genre is this?
It is the immersive sim genre.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, so it's I think I just didn't play the founding members of this genre, so I just wasn't aware of it. So like
immersive sim.
Yeah, so like System Shock is one of the big ones. Deus Ex, the first one, is another big one.
Sure. And
then more recently, this game, the reboot of Deus Ex is a good one, and then Dishonored is also pretty similar.
Okay.
So the way that these games work, for those who are uninitiated like myself, it is a game where it's oftentimes in first person, but it'll give you a set of mechanics and sort of allow you to proceed through the game in kind of whatever way you want to. Mm-hmm. Like the first couple of levels are kind of restricted and like just showing you what to do, but it opens up very quickly and you're allowed to kind of like traverse through the game in whatever way you want. And so, you know, you have like a skill tree that has like skills that are genuinely game changing. Like you can really do different shit with it as compared to like, say, an RPG or something. It's like when you get another skill, it just essentially equates to like a random skill check, right? Like where it's a dice roll behind the scenes. Like this is, you're literally doing the action that will get you into a different place.
Okay.
So like, for example, in Prey, one of the abilities that you get a couple hours into the game is like this alien ability to like jump into inanimate objects and like control it. So you can jump into like a coffee cup and start rolling around on the ground and shit.
All right.
And yeah. And like at no point does it tell you, here's what you can do with that. It just sort of gives you that power and you're like, okay. And then it's not immediately clear, what's the effect here? But there's every now and then there's like doors that you'll run into where like they're all smashed and tattered and you can't like open them or slip through them or anything.
You have to become them.
Right. Well, no, if you become something smaller than it, you can fit through the like crevice that the door is opening in and then just pop out the other side.
Huh.
And the game is like full of that sort of stuff where it never explains like, here's the application, because there's a lot of applications. It sort of just wants you to get in there and explore and like play the game how you want to.
Okay.
Which requires a pretty good amount of level design as well. Like many ways to get very different places. And so like it's been really fun to kind of realize that that's what this game is doing. Because at first I was like, oh, it's just, you know, it's a shooter. It's the straightforward point A to point B shooter. I think there's an argument to be made that BioShock kind of sits somewhere in between them. But I thought it was kind of BioShock-y at first of like, here's my objective, go to the objective, do the thing, and then keep going.
Sure.
But it's very much not that. Like it initially is that, but then you like get all these other bonus objectives and shit that's like kind of optional, and like you can kind of just stop doing the main quest and go do other shit because there's like pretty different story branches that I'm assuming will lead you to pretty different endings.
Interesting. Okay.
God damn, this game is good. I missed it so completely when it came out. I just
kind of glanced over it because I was like, Prey, whatever, they rebooted a first-person shooter. I don't really care. But I heard they got good reviews, but I just never delved into them as well. I think we were probably in the same boat. Yeah, well,
I think there was a ton of very good games coming out in 2017, so it was like kind of hard to nail down exactly which one you wanted to play, but that one was... I think the marketing was just kind of bad. Like, I had a really good time with that reboot of Deus Ex. I don't know if you played that one or not, but...
I did. What was it?
Human Revolution?
No, Mankind Divided.
Yeah.
And then Human Revolution is the second one?
The second one I didn't like as much, but...
Second one was as good. The first one I thought was excellent. I really enjoyed that first reboot of Deus Ex.
Yeah, and I think for me, for similar reasons, like, to this game, to Prey, like, because it offered up so many different ways to approach any given task that I was like, man, it really feels like I can take this kind of however I want to.
Yeah, it's true.
And it rewards you for your ingenuity of like how you can like interestingly solve a certain thing. And so there's all these like emergent situations that come up where you're like, damn, like I bet, you know, not a ton of people experienced exactly that thing that just happened. But it's still very fun and, you know, for the most part balanced. It's a similar sort of vibe to like the basic part of Portal, where it's like sometimes you're like, was I supposed to be able to do that? It felt good and I feel smart now, but like, was that part of the game? And that's kind of the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really phenomenal. I really like it.
Cool. What made you want to pick it up?
It was $10 on Steam.
Okay. Steam sale?
I think so. It was another pretty good deal. And I was like, well, I never gave that one a real shot.
I love a good deal.
It's very good. I think it's normally like 30 or 20 bucks or something like that, but it was 10. I was like, I can't not do that.
I don't want to lose money on this.
And one more thing I'll say about it, I'll stop gushing, I swear, in a second here, is the setting and the level design is just so goddamn good. It's like set in space, which is already very cool. And there's like 0G sections that feel just like, oh my God, this is great. It's really well designed. And then because of that, you're able to like go in and out of this space station that you're on and like go around to different parts of it. Like you unlock different airlocks that allow you to go outside and like get to another part of the space station. And then there's this like internal, almost like subway system that they have that's 0G. So you're just like flying all over the place. So it leads to this like really cool sense of like interconnectedness between the like world of the game.
Okay, cool.
It's fucking good, man. This game is good.
I'm gonna have to give that a shot at some point, I think.
Yeah,
I want to be a coffee can.
I want to be a coffee can.
I want to be a coffee can.
It's also so satisfying in the ways when like you level up skill trees and like you're able to do very different shit all the time, like circumvent things that look very difficult to get around because your hacking skill is high enough.
I do love hacking.
It's one of the first skill trees I feel like I always go for. A good hack is like that's great. Or lockpick, depending on when something
the computer worker, classic computer guy.
Got him.
I like to hack in real life and in my video games.
Hack the world, David. Hack the planet is what I always say.
Hack the planet, baby.
Have you been playing video games this week, David?
Nothing as cool as you.
Sure. This is a fresh one, I will say.
Yeah. You've been playing some good stuff, but I've still been playing NBA.
Yes.
But I think I'm breaking up with it.
Oh, wow. It's not that long of a relationship.
No. It was like, it's like that ex who like comes back, is like, baby, I changed. Come back. And you
kind of believe him for a
second. And
you
believe them, and things are good for a bit, but then they just go back to their same old bullshit after a second there. So I was going along, progressing nicely, fine. Season's going on, my team's doing better, I'm getting more progressed in my skill trees, whatever. It's good. I'm having fun. Slow burn, but it's still fun.
Sure.
Then, like, that always makes you do like these weird things after games sometime. Right, it's like, oh, you have to go to a contract negotiation. It's like, fine, that's easy. Like, it just is a way for you to get better perks. Or you have to go to this after-party event and smash X to dance like a fool and gain more fans, right?
Okay.
Or you have to answer like questions from the media afterwards. And that'll either give you more fans, less fans, increase your team chemistry, decrease your team chemistry, like things that have an actual effect, right?
How do you answer the media? Like, what kind of questions are you fielding there?
They vary. It could be like, hey, you did pretty good tonight. What do you think is the reason for that? And the answers will always be like, it was all me. I'm the greatest. Fuck everybody. And the other one's like, hey, it's a team game, baby. I'm just here to help the team win. That's the only two dichotomies you have in the game. Is either fuck everybody, I'm the best, or hey, I'm just a team player. I'm here to help. It's a funny dichotomy. That's it. There's no in between.
I feel like I don't watch enough basketball because I feel like there is only one answer, which is, man, we went out there and it was hard. We played pretty hard. Coaches got us moving and drilling. And, halfway through it was a little bit rough, but we saw you come back, put it on a little bit harder, and, we cleaned up. We did it. Other team played great, but we did it.
That's the answer I want to give.
Just the standard,
right?
Middle of the road, we did a basketball at them.
I just want to be like the kind of get me out of here kind of person. I don't want to actually answer these questions. I just want to be like grumpy about it. That's kind of my persona in this game. So I want to be grumpy with the media and make them leave me alone. But either I'm just like a fool of myself asshole, or it's just like obviously just pandering to my teammates, being like, oh yeah, it's all my teammates, it's coach really believes in me. And like they made me go on like a radio show for an interview, and like I said, coach was the reason that I played well, instead of being like it was all me. And like the radio guys made fun of me. And my guy's like, wait, no, you're misunderstanding me. They're like, hey, sounds like someone's getting heated. And they like played like an air horn or something.
This does not sound like a particularly fun basketball game.
No, it was not an enjoyable part. I lost like 1,200 fans when that happened.
Oh my God.
It was a disaster. And then I go into the locker room, and they always have like these weird little vignette cutscenes that are all motion captured for no reason whatsoever, it seems, to just like add more loading times to the game, I guess.
Motion captured meaning there's like some like the person who's doing it looks very real.
Motion captured in that they like seem like they did a bunch of different motions for like one person. It's just like one end did like a bunch of different things, and then they just kind of copy and paste those throughout different cutscenes with your character. And he like goes, and then this one he goes into the locker room, and he's
like
just
doing like his head scratch.
He's like down, head scratch. All of the other teammates are like giving him these arms like this, like, what you doing, man? He's like, hey, y'all tripping, and just like goes over to his locker room and like talks, I guess, animatedly to some of the star players in the corner, I guess. And it's like, oh, you lost 1,200 fans. Sorry, bro. Or like you'll be in contract negotiations and the person who you're negotiating with just has the same animations as everybody else who you negotiate with, even though it's like different people from different companies each time that they try to give like different personalities to, but they're all the same in the way that they move, which is weird. But it's just funny.
It's actually commentary. It's on purpose.
Yeah, it's just
all
like,
these people are the same. They're just motivated by money.
It's just like, I don't know. It seems like a strange thing to cut corners on, because it's like you could have easily just not had these animations in here in the first place, or any of this voice acting in the first place. It doesn't add anything. It's just more just kind of like things for me to press X through.
Yeah.
But what really soured me on this game again was, oh god, it's so bad.
What was the fight you guys got in that broke you up?
It's so bad, dude. It's about Beats.
Beats by Dre?
Beats by Dre.
Oh no.
So Beats by Dre is like a big sponsor for the NBA, right?
Yes.
So obviously I had to be in the game. And so I mean,
not obviously. They could have made this game without it.
I know, right? So, but I mean, like throughout the game, you get like different contracts with sponsors to become like spokespeople, and that gives you incentives, right? So I'm like signed with Jordan brand sneakers, with Gatorade and Beats, right?
Of course.
And so
the doctor has to get his slice of the pie.
Hey, the doctor's orders. Is that what he says in the commercials? It's doctor's orders. Something like that. I don't remember. But so you're a Beats ambassador, I think is what they call it, right?
Okay.
So one day after the game, I'm walking down the tunnel after the game in my suit, and my agent comes up to me and he's like, hey, I need you to meet this guy. Remember him? He's the Beats guy. And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember you from that weird cutscene where I negotiated with you. Yeah. And he's like, hey, we need you to do an event, like to go on like this talk show and talk about our headphones. And I'm just like, okay, sure, I'll do it. And I thought that would be the end of the conversation. But now my character's like, all right, what do you want me to talk about? And then he starts going on like, okay, yeah, we want you to talk about the Beats, but, you know, I don't want you to force anything, but if they ask about stuff, we have like this specific type of technology. It's called this. This is why Beats are great. And I'm just like, don't you try and sell me something and put marketing in this game.
It's a very interesting marketing ploy.
Towards me, the player.
They're looking at the camera and they're like, here's the stuff we want you to talk about, David.
Yeah. While putting this marketing in the game, pretending like it's part of the game, where my player, who is a Beats ambassador, is then going to advertise this on a fake talk show that you're sending me to.
It's a lot of layers deep. Yeah.
I was just like, once he started like dropping the actual like Beats name for their noise canceling real technology or whatever they called it, I was just like, okay, skip. I just had to skip everything.
Yeah.
It took me like 2 minutes to skip through everything to like,
they're like
actually
going
get
from one
through
cutscene to the next.
And it's just like, it was him, and then I immediately go to like the interview where I'm talking about the Beats. I'm like holding them in my hand in the interview, just like stressed
again,
up.
looking directly at the camera.
Just like, I'm just this. It's like a daily. It's like a daytime talk show, and there's like this person there sitting on a stool, and I'm sitting on a stool just with a pair of Beats headphones in my hands. And then each question, like, oh god, dude, it's so bad. It was like,
did they force you to answer?
Yes.
Like, is it a quick time event?
You have to answer. You have to.
You had to internalize why Beats headphones are the best.
It was just like, I was just like so over it by that point. I'm just like, I don't even want to hear what like they're saying. Just if you skip the cutscene, it just takes you to the choice between what things you get to say, right? So I just skipped it. And my only two options were I just use the beats to drown out the haters, or I just use my beats to listen to some music. And I'm just like, so both my answers are beats. Both my answers are beats. Am I even like answering anything naturally? Are they just setting me up for beats? Like you're forcing me to be a corporate shill right now, which really does not sit well with me.
It doesn't feel good. It's like a personalized ad only for you.
It's like
very weird.
A forced ad. It's like, hey, you have fun playing this video game. Here's like a 5-minute long, probably longer than that if I didn't skip over cutscenes, probably like a 10-minute long Beats ad.
The fact that you have to recite it is very, very...
Yeah.
It's like a cursed video game mechanic.
I'm going to tell you about it. Now sell it to me.
Sell it back to me. Say the advertising words, David.
It's so bad. And it was
Call
just
Dr. Dre into his incorporeal form.
It was like I just kept skipping through it. And it was like literally like 4 questions for this interview, and each one of them had like a Beats answer to it. It was just like beats, 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 beats. It's all beats, baby. My beats are the best thing. Real noise canceling technology. Hey, you know, we charge a premium price for less than premium product or internal components, but you know, we're Dr. Dre, so people still buy us. That's my real feelings on Beats.
Yeah, you can't actually express this to the fake audience.
Sorry, I got a little nasty right there. I apologize, everybody.
I feel like video game podtimism does not include being optimistic about capitalistic ideals. I feel like we can really harp on nasty capitalism
just like
shit.
Forcing me. It just felt like
it's very weird.
It felt gross. I felt used afterwards, and I'm just like, who is benefiting from this right now? Where I'm just sitting in my room alone, just being sold beats for 10 minutes straight by this video game about
Dr.
basketball.
Dre is benefiting.
It's a basketball video game, and I'm forced to become a virtual shill for this company. It was so weird. And so, yeah, I was just like, I just turned it off after that. I'm like, I haven't deleted it yet, so I wasn't that mad. I was pretty mad though. I'm just like,
you haven't packed up your things and left yet,
out.
but you're ready.
Yeah, I'm staying at my mom's house tonight. I'm thinking it over. I'll let you know in the morning, but it's not looking good.
Dr. Dre, I need to talk.
It was gross. It was not. That's just so the opposite of what I want to do in a video game. Like, damn, dude. Anyways, that was one thing I've been playing this week.
That is some wild shit. That is so wild.
It was weird. It was so weird. I'm really happy I didn't pay to play that game, because then I'd be like, so I pay you money and then you force me to then sit through an ad for you.
The ghost of Dr. Dre is pulling my marionette strings to make me play a good basketball game.
That you try. I guess you think you're maybe being clever by hiding this in the game, but I can tell it's an ad. I can tell it's an ad, guys. Anyways, I'm over it. I'm out. I'm past it.
Wild.
I'm past it. I'm past it. The other game I've been playing this week is a great game. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening.
Link's Awakening?
Sent to me by one Chase Albee through the mail.
I forgot I sent this to you.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's very fun. It's everything that I want a video game to be.
Yeah. It's Zelda, man. It's classic video games.
Yeah, it's not selling me anything. It's just saying like, hey, you already bought this product, so just have a good time.
Dr. Lon Lon is here to sell you a very good horse. Please internalize why our horses are the best horses.
Epona by Lon Lon.
Look at our hoof canceling technology.
This is real hoof technology. Okay? I use my Epona to drown out the haters.
Oh my god. Did you play Link's Awakening on the Game Boy?
I never played it, so I'm having a good time with this one.
Pretty fresh for you.
It is very fresh. I like the art style. It's very different.
Yeah, no, the graphics in it are really interesting. It makes it look like a diorama, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, the tilt shift is an interesting... I haven't seen that done before, and it works well. I mean, it looks good.
Yeah,
looks
for good. Like how small scale everything is in the game, it's an interesting look.
Yes, I've been playing that, and that's just been very enjoyable, very just classic video game, fun. Don't worry about anything else. Just solve a couple puzzles, beat up some moblins, and Save a windfish.
Save a windfish, maybe. I'm interested for you to beat the game because the end of the game is pretty wild. Like, the story of this one is pretty nuts.
Yeah, there's already hints that like the windfish isn't either a wind or a fish, so I'm curious to see what it is. It's a big egg, it looks like. So maybe it's just a dragon. That's my guess. It's a dragon.
Who knows?
Or a big stanky bird.
Or a big stinky bird. Stanky, excuse me.
Big stanky bird.
Have you...
BSB.
You've played most of the Zeldas, haven't you? I feel like I'm thinking about the ones that I know you've played, and I feel like you've gotten through a lot of them.
I've played probably the majority of them since Ocarina of Time. Played Ocarina, I never played Majora's. I've played Wind Waker, I've played Twilight Princess. I didn't do Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
I did, of course, Breath of the Wild. And then I did A Link Between Worlds. I'm doing Link's Awakening. I don't think I'd done many of the Game Boy ones or Game Boy Advanced ones. Like Oracle of Ages. Did you and I
play A Link to the Past? I played it with either you or Garen, and I don't remember who it was.
I think I played it a little bit with you guys, but I think you mainly played that with Garen. I have played A Link to the Past.
Link to the Past is very good.
That's a real good game, yeah.
For a game that came out like 20 to 30 years ago.
Still really good. Go see our Nintendo
Power Rankings, for how good that one held up.
Nintendo bracket.
That game is quite good. I don't really know where Link's Awakening falls because it's a pretty different Zelda game. I feel like it plays out pretty odd compared to the rest of them. Mm-hmm. It's not totally like outside the realm of what goes on in there, but just like the way the items work and shit like that, and how you kind of progress through the game is
can
different.
Jump. There's like side scrolling.
So jumping.
Bow Wow's in it. Shy Guy's in it. What's Shy Guy doing in there? What are you doing? You don't belong here. I'm curious to see what happens.
It's very weird.
Curious.
Do you have something fueling your sense of podtimism this week, David?
Yes.
It is my superior headphones made by Beats by Dre.
You got it, baby. I've been brainwashed. I'm just a corporate shill now. And even then, he's still done his job because we've said Beats by Dre so many times on this podcast already. He's already got us. That bastard.
The headphones that will now remain unnamed.
The headphones that shall not be named. If he hears you say their name, he will apparate to you.
Dr. Dre will come find you. Oh my God.
Dr. Dre, who must not be named.
What's your podcast thing?
The Dre Eaters.
You're really working on it.
Sorry, yeah. My mind is still going with Dr. Dre and Harry Potter things to do. I'm sure there's that's a gold mine in there for sure.
There's a pun in there somewhere that's going to make me feel great.
Anyways, my optimistic thing is game sharing.
Game sharing?
Yes.
I bet I know why.
Sharing a good game with your good friend.
It's true. It does feel good, especially when the game is like one that you definitely haven't had access to yet.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Like, not something that I get as much nowadays, but many fond memories of that as a child where it'd be like, bring a game to school, be like, hey, try this one.
Or it's a good trade where it's like both of us have a pretty high value game that we like just beat the shit out of for a week and get through it and then swap them.
Exactly. You get that game swap.
That's true. That's true. It definitely feels good. There's a good bang for your buck on that one. Let me tell you about a podtimistic thing.
All right, let's hear it.
It's beating a bunch of games. There's a strange sense of satisfaction that I can derive of beating a video game.
There sure is.
I think because it takes a while. One thing, like oftentimes these are pretty long experiences that you're doing, and like the whole point of a game is to kind of be a challenge. And so when you're done with it, it's like, I did it. I did the thing. Especially if it's a particularly difficult game. Yeah. Rolling credits on like a Sekiro or a Dark Souls feels good.
Feels
very good. Or same thing with Tsushima or Panzer Paladin. I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I did it. Felt good. So yeah, I feel like I've been wrapping up a few of them recently, so I'll have to continue to do so. I never beat the Final Fantasy remake, so I kind of want to do that one. I don't think I'm that far off. Yeah, and then I'm very far away from it, but I would like to beat Persona 5. I would like to get that one done.
It's going to feel so good when I beat Divinity.
I was going to say it's going to feel good for me too.
Oh my God, dude.
It's quite the commitment. Do you want to move on to our next thing?
Yes.
Let us do it.
Let us.
It's good games, David.
Again. Yeah, let's do it.
It's back after a hiatus.
Good games, baby. Can we talk about Pilot Wangs again?
We can talk about Pilot Wangs. You like the B-side segments.
I feel like I can just be very irreverent.
Yeah, it's true. You can be irreverent in here. That's okay. Today we are talking about a game of a little of yesteryear. Wait, no. The segment. I need to say the segment. Good games. It's the segment where we talk about all the games of yesteryear and gush about the things that we love about them. Mm-hmm. And then kind of reimagine what they would look like if it were a modern day video game release with unlimited budget.
That's new.
It's new. It's fresh. I realize
unlimited budget.
An important caveat because a lot of games' shortcomings are almost certainly because of budget and time crunch.
Unlimited budget.
Shooting dollar bills at your fingertips.
Shooting dollar bills at Samuel L. Jackson.
Just yeet him out the window, dude. Today we are talking about a Xbox 360 launch title called Condemned: Criminal Origins.
Criminal Origins. I forgot this was a launch title. But it was, yeah.
Yeah. It was one of the first ones out of the gate. I always find looking at launch titles is like a really interesting view into what people thought the console should be doing. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not necessarily like the end of a console's lifespan is always like very refined and polished video games that are like quintessential, like, damn, that was a good fucking game. Mm-hmm. But the launch titles are just kind of a crapshoot because nobody really knows the technology well enough. Like, they're I'm sure being asked by like whoever's launching the console, like, this should be a big monumental shift. Like, you should kind of try and shoot the moon with a lot of these things. Mm-hmm. And so it's sort of an interesting activity to look at them and see like what did people think this console was going to be. And this was sort of an interesting shot that I think for the most part succeeds. I think this was a pretty good game, all things considered.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed this game. I did.
Yeah, I liked it quite a bit as much as there was definitely things to improve upon. It was still pretty enjoyable for the time.
Totally.
But before we get to the gushing, let me hit you with some
hot stats.
Condemned: Criminal Origins came out November 22nd, 2005, the day the Xbox 360 launched.
Oh, God. Oh my God, for some reason I got the 360 and the Xbox One confused.
You were like, so that doesn't sound right.
This is like
like 8 to 9 years off.
It's like a 7-year-old game. That's fine. No, it's like a 15-year-old game.
It's a 15-year-old game. It's much older than that.
Oh my God, sorry. Continue. I'm just having a crisis over here.
It is the video game Podtimism required bone aging segment where we feel how old our bones are.
It's true. My bones just made another pass around the sun, so they're feeling quite aged. This cast.
Happy birthday, David.
Why, thank you.
It came out alongside a handful of other games that were launching on the 360, obviously, such as Amped 3, which is a 2K game, Call of Duty 2, which is pretty good, if I remember correctly.
That was fun on the 360. That was a good one.
It was running at 60 frames per second, which felt fucking juicy on a console.
Damn, okay.
Condemned, obviously. Gun, do you remember this game? It's like a Western.
Yeah, I do.
That was interesting. Cameo, Elements of Power.
That was like their big thing, and then it was a
Microsoft Game Studios and Rare collaboration. It was supposed to be like the best game of all time, but
it was okay. It was like the precursor to Knack.
It was kind of the precursor to Knack.
It was Originac.
Also, some games that were coming out. Need for Speed Most Wanted. Very, very good game.
That was excellent, yeah.
Perfect Dark Zero, sort of in the middle.
Middle road, yeah.
Let's see. Project Gotham 3, that was okay.
I like those Project Gotham games, though.
Yeah, of course. Love a good racer.
King Kong, that was a good game.
I think so. I think it was a quality game. And then a little Ridge Racer 6, baby.
Ridge Racer! Did they really have Ridge Racer 6 on there?
Apparently that's what the internet said.
I had no idea. I thought that was a Sony game.
That would make sense, but I guess it came out.
Interesting. Okay.
It was also developed by this company called Monolith, based out of Kirkland. I was there today. I was in Kirkland
Washington original.
Today. A Washington OG. They had been making games for quite a while, actually, since like the early 90s. Some of their earlier ones include Blood and Claw and Shogo Mobile Armor Division. They're all like very old PC video game names.
One's just called Blood?
Blood.
And another's just called Claw?
Claw. I like the name of Claw for a video game. That's fucking intense. It's a very metal album name for a video game.
Those are both very metal.
Yeah.
And the other one was Shogun Mobile?
Shogo, Mobile Armor Division. It's like a mech fighting game.
Mobile Armor Division. Damn, okay. And then Condemned Criminal Origins.
They put out Condemned. They also put out, these are probably a little bit more familiar, the Fear series. Remember those? The first-person spooky shooters?
Yeah, sure do. Those were pretty good.
They were pretty good. I liked Fear a lot. And which it makes sense kind of seeing these games in the same like realm of kind of spooky first-person games. Mm-hmm. And then more recently, the Shadow of Mordor series, which is also pretty good.
I didn't know they did those games.
They did. It's sort of a weird turn for them. Like that's definitely not the games that they had been making up to that point.
Huh. Fascinating. Good games, though.
Good games, though. I think there's some pretty good pedigree there.
Mm-hmm.
I do have a review from the game review site Gaming Since 1908X.
This is a new site.
Yeah, it's a new site. It's the first time I had seen them.
198X.
Yeah. So I think it's a Mega Man reference.
They're
but
80s boys.
They're 80s boys, I'm pretty sure.
Sure.
But I have run it through Google Translate enough to just grind it up into some powder, some video game review powder.
I'm just going to snort it right now.
We're going to snort what appears to be a review of Condemned Criminal Origins. It says, crime under 10 euros is still a party to consider, but we are still hungry and waiting for the next team. 6 out of 10.
Crime under 10 euros is still a party to consider.
Still a party to consider. I don't know if you're still considering crime for under 10 euros, but you should consider crime.
Crime under 9 euros?
Not bad.
Not bad.
We're hungry, waiting for the next team.
Over 10 euros? You might be overpaying.
Yeah, that's some pretty expensive crime to consider.
And this says, well, we're still waiting for the next team?
Exclamation point.
Fascinating review.
Quality review.
6 out of 10?
6 out of 10. I usually try to pull the reviews that are kind of harsh on the game so that we can lift it up with our optimism.
Okay, I feel you.
Just to not to pull the curtain back up too hard here, but what is this video game, David?
Now, this video game is an immersive first-person game. Has elements of shooting, has elements of fisticuffs, has sleuthing, because you play a detective who is on the case of a series of murders, correct?
Yeah. You're investigating like serial killers, I think.
Does he get framed?
Yes, he does.
That's right. He gets framed at, like in the early beginning of the game, and you're going around trying to prove your innocence, right?
Yeah, it's like the first murder scene that you show up to. I can't remember if it's you get framed for that murder, or I think somebody else also dies there. And so it gets pinned on you that you're actually the one who's doing all the murdering.
Yeah. You get framed for being a serial killer,
right? And which sort of sets off the rest of the game of you kind of being on the underground and trying to find the person who is actually doing all the killing.
Yeah, and then you have to do the very problematic thing of beating up a bunch of homeless individuals.
Yeah,
throughout the game.
The fact of they are like violent and raging. Like there are supernatural things making them more violent than your average person.
Yeah.
But yeah, a little rough in hindsight to just be like, oh, the bad guys in this one are the homeless people.
It's a different time. Different time.
Yeah, I don't know that would fly quite so well.
No, that would be.
I mean, for good reason. I'm not saying that
the
PC culture. No, that's not what I'm saying. Just that you could make a more interesting game that doesn't have to just shit on homeless people. That sucks.
Doesn't have to be the homeless.
Yeah, but that is to on paper describe what this game is. You are fighting a lot of enraged homeless people.
Yeah, supernaturally enraged. There is a supernatural element to the game.
Yeah,
but it just did a lot of very interesting things for a first-person game at the time, trying to be more immersive in a story, more varied gameplay for a first-person game. So it's not just a shooter. You do other stuff too. You can examine crime scenes, right?
Yeah, you have a little. I think it's like a digital camera that you kind of zoom in on certain parts of the crime and kind of investigate it.
Mm-hmm. And it's pretty. Yeah.
It was interesting. I liked that mechanic.
Yeah, it was good. And there were a bunch of different places where you're okay, examine this spot, figure out what's going on. There was kind of puzzly elements to it, or figure out how to get to the next spot elements to it. That was more than just blow this up, shoot this thing, and move on to the next area.
Yeah, definitely. And like, I think this is probably a little bit after like that was a super novel idea. Like this is the launch of the 360, and like we had talked about Breakdown being a different take on like the first person sort of thing, and that was going on a little bit before this, but I feel like it was still fairly novel in the sense of making a first person game that wasn't just shooting.
It was very much a thing or a type of game that was on the fringes of gaming still, and there wasn't like a big AAA release of a game like that yet. Like Breakdown was still kind of like a fringe game. It wasn't like a huge release, it didn't have a lot of fanfare. Whereas this one was very played up.
Yeah. I mean, I think also because it was a launch title, it was just like, look at all the crazy shit we're doing.
Totally.
But like we had mentioned too, like Call of Duty 2 was coming out for this. So like it wasn't like the shooter genre wasn't even as perfected as it was up to that point. So this was still sort of a different take on it. So it's interesting in hindsight for sure.
Yeah.
Let's gush about this motherfucker.
Okay. I'm ready.
What do you remember being super, super cool about this? Kind of already talked about the detective-y-ness, right?
Yeah, the fist fighting and the melee combat. First person melee combat was a rarity back then.
Yeah, what, you had like the karate chop in GoldenEye? And that was it? That was not very good?
Karate chop, yeah. Didn't feel good.
So slow, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it just felt derpy.
Yeah.
Whereas in this one, you could get like baseball bats and pipes and stuff, right?
Yeah, there was a lot more like intricacy to the combat, and like there was both a hit button and a block button. So like, you kind of had to like look at what the person was doing to like kind of anticipate what their move is going to be, rather than just like beat the shit.
Very basic by today's standards, but back then was kind of a big deal that they were able to do that.
Yeah.
Or that they did that for the game. So it just really added a different, varied element to the gameplay.
I'm sure taking after a little bit of Chronicles of Riddick that came out before this, so I'm sure they were like, hey, that's fucking good.
Totally, yeah. They definitely... Chronicles of Riddick. Oh, what a game.
I know.
They should remake that one. I'd play that.
I know.
Dang.
Yeah, that's quality stuff.
But yeah, the first-person melee combat was really excellent.
Yeah.
The story, I remember just being pretty engrossing and very different.
It was.
Very different story.
I was reading the plot line today, and I kept feeling like I was reading a season of True Detective. Like, it plays out pretty similarly. And like, I bet there's a genre for this that I am just not aware of, but the like supernatural detective genre of like, things start with a murder, but it's actually like kind of the devil, maybe.
Yeah, but it's actually Satan.
Right, yeah. And like that, I don't know why that genre of video games or movies or TV is compelling, but it's interesting. It leaves you with a very spooky vibe. Like the story like takes some turns and shit like that, but for the most of it, I feel like you're maybe confused about why these people are enraged, but it doesn't point to like supernatural craziness, like right up until pretty close to the end, and then it just lays it on real heavy, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's just like all this stuff, crazy, just supernatural bro who's like climbing around on the ceiling now.
Yeah. No, you remember that. It's like near the end of the game, there's like you get caught by like the nephew of one of your buddies, and he's the one who's like been murdering people, and there's this like thing in the rafters of this barn that you're in. Called the Hate, I believe is what it is. And it's like
you're right.
This creature dude thing who's like supposedly the cause of why everybody's like getting increasingly violent in this town, and just his like mere presence is what's causing it in the first place. So that was very interesting. I don't know, I like that.
You were like out on some podunk farm, weren't you?
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember that level very vividly.
Pretty vividly. I think it was like probably pretty frightening for the time. Like
it was.
There was a lot that led up to that, and it's just like tense out there.
It also for the time there weren't very many like first person horror games. So when it started to veer in that direction near the end, it really was quite effective in creating a tone and an experience, right?
Is that effective or effective, David? It
was effective in making an affect and having an affective reaction in the player.
Look at me learning. Learning.
Just watch me just not doing this correctly at all, and just everybody being like, you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, which is a possibility. I think I'm saying this right. But Garen,
Twitter will tell us.
Garen fact check me, because I know Garen will be nice about it at the very least.
That's true.
What a man. Garen shout out of the week. But no, I remember just very vividly just being in that creepy house, just hearing like weird things going on in the attic and like looking around, trying to figure out what's going on. It's just like you in that house, and you're trying to figure out what is going on, and it's just very creepy and unsettling. And then it just goes full supernatural, and you're like, what in the... I did not see this coming.
There's like a dude with like pipes and knives sticking out of his chest and shit like that you have to fight. It's spooky.
Wild. It's good though.
The ending of the game I thought was pretty interesting too, where like it's revealed that the dude that you're helping, whose nephew was like the killer, he so like not double crossed you, but sort of like tricked you into going to the farm to like catch his nephew essentially. Mm-hmm. And he has him like taped up in the back of the car, and is like, you go back there and something happens, and like you're put in a situation where you choose whether or not to kill the murderer, right? Mm-hmm. Like you have a gun to his head, and it's like, choose whether or not to do it. And it pans to you as the like character, and there's like a bunch of those dudes, the hate or whatever, just like standing right behind your head, which is deeply spooky.
I don't remember that part, but that sounds terrifying.
I'll send you a video. I'm sure you'll recognize it after a second, but like it's interesting. It like forces you to choose whether or not to actually do this action, and then if you don't, he like pulls a gun and shoots himself because I think he's just like spooked or something. Mm-hmm. Kind of intense for sure, but like it's God, the fucking supernatural vibes in it are so good. And then I think the game ends with you like looking in the mirror and seeing the dude, the spooky guy, the hate
behind you. Yeah. I think I remember that part.
You like puke in a bathroom or like a public bathroom, and then you look up and he's there.
I think that part haunts my dreams a little bit because I remember it, but I also feel like I live that every day and a little bit. You know what I mean?
That's nice.
You know how something when spooks you that bad, it just kind of sticks with you for the rest of your life?
It's just kind of always there now.
It's always there in your heart.
You should watch it again because the graphics are fucking bad. Like the facial,
I would imagine so.
The faces look so rough.
Yeah.
And I guess this is kind of segue into like what, or actually hold on, before we segue into what we could do better, I do want to mention that the guns felt very interesting in this game. Like you had like 4 bullets at any given time. And like most of the other times you're just fighting, right? Like you're using your fucking pipes and wood and shit like that. Mm-hmm. But if you manage to get a gun and get like a bullet or something, it felt like very significant. Like usually it would just kill whoever's like charging at you.
Yeah.
Which is like not a take on guns you see very often in video games. Like the representation of just how deadly of a force it is. Usually it's like you got to shoot dudes like 10 times with like an M4 or something. And so, you know, then finally they go down or something. But you just roll up on a dude and shoot him. It's like, yeah, that's it. That's the whole fight.
Yeah, that's true. That's like how it really works.
Yeah. Like rarely do you get that like represented accurately. So I thought that was, you know, definitely still advocating for how fun guns are, but at least more interesting in the way that it's presented.
Realistic in their effectiveness.
Yes.
Yeah.
What would we do if we remade this game today with unlimited budget and time?
We remade it today with unlimited budget and time. VR. It's always VR.
It's always VR. It certainly could be fun. Like the hand-to-hand combat I think would be interesting. Mm-hmm. Like in this sort of game, and like spookiness definitely lends itself to VR very well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But beyond VR, which is just kind of a cop-out, this is the future answer.
Yeah, a fresh coat of paint is a real easy answer. The game looks pretty bad.
Yeah, a fresh coat of paint. Voice acting, I don't think was great.
Wasn't phenomenal, but it wasn't quite as bad as, say, PsyOps or something like that.
Sure.
It's interesting looking at like clips of the game now because something that was happening at that time was lighting was getting pretty good and impressive in video games. And so you could rely pretty heavily on like just how good the lighting looked, and it was like pretty like, oh, that's a pretty good looking game. The models of the people look not great, but you look at like, you know, you holding a torch or something like that, and it's like, that looks not bad, right? Like that could come out today and I wouldn't be too upset about it. Mm-hmm. But I think something that it does as like a way to compensate for how good the lighting looks is that the environments that you're in are all pretty like claustrophobic and tiny. Like you're usually like underground or in a subway or in a tiny little building or something like that. And I think that's probably on purpose because it's probably a lot easier to render that in a video game. Like,
Sure.
you've got like the very good lighting right around you, and then, you know, you don't want to have a super far draw distance, and so it's easy to just kind of put together a tiny little building that you can render. But I think like if you did something like a True Detective or something, this game could play out really interestingly, where like more open air, like during daytime and shit like that, when you can do a lot more like investigation stuff. Maybe make it like an immersive sim where you have a lot of kind of detective skills.
Detective powers.
A lot of detective powers that you can use to like come at the story from different angles.
What detective powers would you have?
Hacking. It
all comes back to hacking. Hacking, stealth. Making a good deduction.
Fisticuffs.
Fisticuffs, is that detective work?
It's any good detective. I'm getting a couple of roughhousing fights.
Breaking and entering.
Sure. Lockpicking. Tailing. That's a good one. Water magic.
What?
Fire magic. What else could you do to make this video game better in 2020, David? Or more interesting, or a twist on the formula?
You could then give the main character some psychic powers.
Make it truly supernatural.
Yeah. Or give him like the ability to like hunt supernatural beings. Maybe this is just his gateway to hunting supernatural creatures that are committing crimes.
You know what this sounds like?
The Witcher?
A very good pitch for an X-Files game.
Ooh, that's fun.
Imagine how fucking good that game would be. Like, if you just had like serialized little episodes that you could play through and like approach any situation from any given way.
You'd like do your research, investigate, find out what's going on, figure out what it could be, then plan accordingly, set a trap, get your guns.
Get your guns. Did you watch the X-Files at all?
A little bit.
There was an episode where they went into like a VR simulation and there was like a murderer in there. This episode fucked me up to my core, David.
I never saw this one.
It was fucked. I like, I don't know why, but when I was younger, like the idea of losing a limb really, really frightened me.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like the idea of like getting your hand cut off was like the most scary thing to me.
Never use a table saw.
And there was an episode of the show where there was like somebody in like the internet physical space, and they brought this dude in who's like, he was unable to feel fear, who was going to go in there and get him. He's not scared of anything. There's no world where he gets scared. He goes into the VR simulation, gets his hands chopped off with a fucking sword, and is just like screaming like crazy, like, I'm so scared. And then the person kills him with the sword. I turned it off immediately. My mom was in the room and she's like, hey, is this scary? I'm like, no. And then just turned the TV off completely. I'm like, no, I'm out. So maybe in this game we don't cover that episode.
The scariest thing for a little gamer boy ever.
Dude,
you know this space where you feel invincible and all-powerful? Your hands are now gone and you're dead.
And the man who feels absolutely no fear is screaming bloody murder. I'm out. I'm out
on this one. That is something that as a TV show writer, as an adult, you'd be like, this is fine. But for a young child,
spooky, right?
For a young child, be like, oh my god, this is the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life. Scary stuff.
To be fair, the intro of Goosebumps used to make me scared, so I was not a particularly courageous young boy.
Bro, when that dog's eyes turn gold.
Woo, 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 woo. Do you have anything else you need to say about Condemned Criminal Origins?
I got nothing.
Great. Okay. David, we're on Twitter.
Chainsaw Blood.
Chainsaw Blood is on Twitter. No, that's not going to make any sense yet. We haven't aired that part of the episode.
Okay.
We've got a part of the episode that we're going to play right before October for Spooky Month. Spooktober. We are on Twitter, and you can review the show if you'd like to. Actually, no, we have one more 5 stars, so thank you for whoever gave that. If you want to review with some words, I will read it here and give you a kiss.
Thank you for the 5-star, whoever you are.
Thank you for the 5-star. Thank you. Am I on Video Game Wisdom this week?
Sure.
Is that my tip? I couldn't remember if we swapped duties. I think I felt like I had offered to do it for a little while you recouped your gaming wisdom energy, your ki.
I definitely need like a week off sometimes to just recoup things.
All right, let me carry this burden for you this week.
Okay, let's hear it.
Some weeks, you beat a lot of video games.
Mm-hmm.
Some weeks, you beat no video games. I'd say most weeks, you beat no video games.
Yeah.
Savor the moments of victory. And don't dwell on the failures.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Can you hear Emily Alice in the background listening to Twilight, watching Twilight?
I was about to say, is there did you start playing some sort of ethereal soundtrack for Gaming Wisdom?
It's kind of ethereal. Twilight's kind of ethereal.
It's kind of working. It's kind of working for me.
I'll have her watch Twilight every time we do Gaming Wisdom.
Perfect. That's good. That's beautiful. Thank you for that wisdom.
Yeah, I got you. I just wanted to carry you through until the next time you beat a video game, which apparently won't be 2K. Sorry, 2K. Call your shot. What's the next video game you're going to beat, David?
That's going to be probably Link's Awakening.
Oh, damn. Yeah, that's true.
It's not going to be Divinity. That's still going to take a while.
Baby, come on. Give me what I want. Beat that fucking video game.
Dude, the cake crashes the game. What am I supposed to do?
Can you not move forward right now?
No, you can move forward. You don't have to mess with the cake, but
oh my god.
I would be really upset if that was the fact.
I need you to satisfy the needs of my body and beat this video game, David. Please.
Your body will be satisfied, don't worry.
I need it soon. Come on.
And I'll let you know how many hours it was. It's going to be triple digits. I don't think I've ever played a single player experience for that long.
That's what makes it all the more juicy and delicious. Come on, give me that sweet release. Beat Divinity, David, please.
Oh, God. Chutby.
Chut Buttby.
Chut Buttby is coming out right now. Come on, just beat that game. I need to get it.
Okay, see you next week. Bye.
All right, see ya.